Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you. Oh, poop.
Did you lose your sheet?
Yeah, just a minute.
Do you need a number?
I got it.
Okay.
Although I don't know where it went when I brought it in.
It's on the bottom of the pile.
That's what I thought, but it's not. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1318, May 31st, 2024. 106 degrees on this day in 1934 and 33 degrees on this day in 1889. I hope the Aquaside people have helped you out. Want to keep your beach free of weeds and algae this swimming season? Get a hold of Aquaside. Products made right there in White Bear Lake. The products are easy to use. They work quickly, and they get rid of the junk you don't want where the kids are swimming. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. You don't have to let weeds overtake the swimming hole. Call Aquaside. Describe what you're looking at. They'll help you get the right products, and your place will look great all summer long. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Let's get this out of the way right away. John in Arizona says, I'm looking forward to not visiting the Joe Souchere booth of fortune telling at the Gumption County Fair. Between your picks of sports teams and endorsements for politicians, keep your mouth shut. Yeah, I did say the Timberwolves would win last night. It was a pathetic performance.
Yeah.
And the season's over. And there you are.
No more heartbreak.
We'll have to wait till next year.
I'm over it.
We'll have to wait till next year. Okay, we lost a police officer in Minneapolis yesterday about 5 p.m. And we learn that this is the latest update. We learn that officers at approximately 5:15, police were alerted to 2 people shot in an apartment on the 2200 block of Blaisdell. So coppers did what coppers do. They went there.
Mm-hmm.
When they arrived, a suspect fired on them. Officers opened fire and wounded the suspect during an exchange of gunfire. 2 officers, one of them Jamal Mitchell, were wounded. The suspect died at the scene despite life-saving efforts, according to the chief. One officer survived his injuries and was recovering at HCMC. His identity has not been released. Jamal Mitchell, the police officer, died at HCMC. Back at the scene, officers went inside the apartment building and found one man dead and another man suffering from life-threatening injuries. That victim is being treated at HCMC. Outside the apartment building, a man was found shot while in his vehicle. He was taken to HCMC with life-threatening injuries. A firefighter was hurt during the incident, was treated for injuries without being hospitalized. The BCA and the Minneapolis Police Department are working together to investigate all aspects of the gunfire inside the apartment and on the street. So we lost Jamal Mitchell, who apparently was killed by a gunman disguising himself as a victim. And when Mitchell went to give him aid, he ambushed him and shot him. Now, last night after this, the Mayor Fry had a press conference surrounded by various city authorities, and then the governor was also present. And I would like to know, for example, and we don't know yet who the shooter was. I would like to know if he had a previous record. I would like to know if he should have been in jail. I would like to know that. Maybe he's never seen a gun before in his life. I don't know that.
Well, the initial call was they were responding to a shooting.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's his first ever involvement with shooting or if he's a tried and true criminal veteran of Minneapolis who's been released 15 times.
I'm sure we'll find out.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
Yeah.
This is a 72-hour story, if that.
Yeah, right.
So during the press conference, Fry said what mayors say, and an assistant police chief said what she would be expected to say. And then Walz, whether invited or not, he stepped before the microphone.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Blackwell, and deepest condolences to you and your officers, Mayor Fry and City Council. Most importantly, to the Mitchell family. There's no words you're going to hear today that are going to make today and the horror of it go away. For Minnesotans across the state, here in Minneapolis, but across the state, you're feeling the trauma of this once again, because this is one of those incidents should be unthinkable, but it's very thinkable because it's now happened 4 times in the last couple months where we've had public safety officers responding to the call that people make to 911, rushing into that situation, and in this case being ambushed, and a loss of life for Officer Mitchell. That trauma quickly should turn to anger and a commitment that this cannot happen. We do not have to live this way. We have.
There's the key sentence. Here's the problem, Governor. We are living that way. We've been living that way most principally under your tenure. This state has become a bleep show since you became governor and have proven to be the worst governor in the history of the state. Your disdain for police officers has been evident previously. You contribute to an environment which is encouraging criminal behavior. You encourage a political environment in which the wrong people are elected and wish to bring about the idea that there is no such thing as crime. You've stepped on your feet too many times to be taken seriously. I don't know how you had the balls to even show up there and say we shouldn't have to live this way. This is the way we live, Governor. This is what's been happening, especially in the metro area. This is what's been happening. Do you think Trooper Londergren Walz could have been a duplicate of this situation? Might he have been shot? I know you've been backpedaling on that and you don't know where to be on that, but it's an outrage that he's even under prosecution. It's an outrage that he has to stand trial. But this is what you've wrought, Walz. You've brought this about yourself by aligning yourself with a group of Mysterians who have sold a public discontent with police. Now, we don't know anything about the shooter. I would love to know if he's been released by Mary 15 times. We don't know that. I don't know anything about him that hasn't been released yet. We probably will need until into next week before more details are released. But it's an outrage that you have the nerve to say we shouldn't have to live like this. This is the way we live. That's not an exaggeration. I've experienced it myself with the CP on a sunny summer afternoon getting carjacked. I think it was the summer of 22. It wasn't last summer. I think it was the summer of 22. She's fine. Nothing happened except her dignity. But the point is, Governor, we are living like this. So your remarks need to be refashioned, recharacterized. You said this should be a time of anger. We've been angry, but the voters of Minneapolis have continued to elect the wrong people. I can't do anything about that. And the voters of the state elected you, and you squeaked by and got to be governor, and you've brought nothing but chaos to this state. You've brought nothing but financial irresponsibility to this state. You've brought nothing but a disdain for law enforcement to this state, dating back to your behavior on the George Floyd weekend in 2020. You've been pathetic. I wish you'd come on this show and tell me otherwise, but I know you won't. Either you won't or your people won't let you, but you won't come on this show. And for you to say we shouldn't have to live like this is ridiculous. This is exactly the way we live. We've been living like this now for 4 years.
When you hear that quote, the gall of him to say that, the gall, seriously, as you mentioned, there is currently a state trooper facing prosecution
for doing his job.
For doing his freaking job.
But you've helped sell that, Walz. You've helped sell the idea that law enforcement is not to be trusted. You've helped sell the idea that black Minnesotans are in danger because of white police officers. That's a statistical lie. Unfortunately, black Minnesotans shoot each other. They are not shot and killed by Minneapolis police officers. You have it completely backwards. You always have. You don't know what to do about it because you're not competent. And you're not fully ready to admit that you haven't grasped adulthood, just like the rest of the people you legislate with. And unless this state is turned around, unless these Mysterians are replaced with rational people who want to follow the law, you have nothing but a poor future to face. I'm sure given you have, 6 or 7 state pensions, you'll probably get your ass out of this state the minute you're no longer in service, and you won't even live here. And you will have left behind a mess. You've never once exercised competence, rationality, civility. You never once have addressed this legislature and told them to slow down. You've never once tried to rein in an anti-police movement. It's pathetic.
Governor,
absolutely pathetic.
You're considered a fraud in my part of the country. Nobody trusts you. Nobody believes you. Everybody thinks that everything that comes out of your mouth is a lie and is self-serving. You're here to serve the Democratic Party, and that's it. We have become an extremist state, and it's because of you and your administration.
And the Democratic Party you serve has, in concert with you, sold the idea that law enforcement is the problem. That's pathetic. Now, Willard has a great point. Where is it? You know what I would like to see? People such as Fry and Walz tripping over each other for the microphone to discuss the value of a police force when one of said force has not been shot dead in the street.
Boy, that's a good point.
And then he notes, I foresee a long wait. Willard got a lot of anger. Sanibel Jim, who has spent his life in law enforcement. When I saw Walz and Fry last night lamenting the killing of the MPD hero officer and the 2 civilians, I wanted to vomit. And they had the balls to have the Minneapolis City Council standing with them. All of them should be hiding in shame for what they have created in Minneapolis and the state. And of course, the incompetent district attorney was nowhere to be seen. Add her to the triumvirate of incompetence and hatred of law enforcement, and we have the faces for a new Minnesota flag, the Destructors, the ultimate murderer's flag of the officer and the total ruination of the state. How dare they stand before cameras and blather their moronic speeches? How dare they not accept responsibility for the situation they have created? Whatever one sows, that will he also reap. I got news for you, Walz. Your press today isn't very good. Your press today isn't very good. Here's from Bill Spragle. So during the news conference, Walz says he supports our officers. Where's that support for State Trooper Londrigan? I bet the DA will bring charges up on the deceased officer. God bless his soul and family. And the other officer who was shot, and the Fry and Walz show will go along with it. This kind of bleep shows our politics, what our politics has brought about. The grandstanding and lack of support shows what failed leadership we have and how poorly served we have been as the public by our politicians. I don't know what to do about how angry and frustrated I am about our state politics. As I say, Walz, you're not getting good press today. And Kenny said something interesting. You really do only represent the Mysterians. You really only do represent the incompetent. I have not seen you reach out for the betterment of this state. I have seen you put this state in a financial hole from which it might never recover. That's what I've seen you do.
This cannot happen. We do not have to live this way.
Well, that's the way we live, Governor.
That's our lives.
That's the way we live. That is not hyperbole. And by all accounts, this Jamal Mitchell was a hell of a guy. I don't know him. He wasn't a cop that long, about a year and a half. Whatever it is, he seemed to get it.
There is a clip that surfaced this morning. I believe I saw this via Liz Collin, but he was interviewed about a year ago on CNN, and this clip surfaced. Oops, give me 1 second. I got to turn up my volume here. He was responding after he rescued an elderly couple from a burning home a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's not playing.
Never mind.
Darn it. I'm so sorry.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
The resentment that Walz, the governor, generates every time a law officer goes down and he barges his way onto the stage whenever there's a camera or a microphone. He doesn't understand the resentment that he's generating and the fact that it just makes everybody hate him more.
Governor, you would have been more than welcome last night. And it would have been comforting to have your presence were it not for your ideology. But you have played your card. And you played your card back in 2020, and you've done little to dissipate it.
Yep.
You've played your card.
Nobody's going to forget 2020 when news anchors were on the air yelling, "Where is the governor? Why won't he talk to us?"
You played your card, Governor, when the first thing you did after Walz, the Londegren incident, was meet with the family of, is it Ricky Cobb? Ricky Cobb III. The first thing you did is meet with him and Mary Moriarty. And then you started reading the clippings and you're trying to back off that a little. But you got a trooper, Walz, who shouldn't even be on trial. Shouldn't even have been a case. Or did you want to see him killed and then you could have another chance to speak? You've helped foment a bad attitude, Walz. You had a soapbox to stop that. You didn't use it. You are a tremendous disappointment.
We've got 4 that are already dead this year.
Mm-hmm.
How many more that were shot that fortunately were not killed? I mean, this law enforcement resentment, the fact that none of these people can see this.
And
is
aside
maddening.
from the activists and the professional city council people who've never worked a day in their life, the black brothers and sisters of Minneapolis and St. Paul know who they're in danger of, and it's not the cops.
Right.
It's
They're
not
still
the
calling
cops.
the cops. They're
It's not
still
the
calling
cops.
the cops.
So God bless Mitchell. He goes to render aid to somebody who ends up shooting him.
Yep.
What was Londegren supposed to do, Walz? What was he supposed to do?
Just pat him on the head while he's being dragged.
This is the way we live, Walz says. The BS. Oh, no.
No, this is the way we
shouldn't
live.
have to live this way. BS. This is the way we live, Walz. Things have changed. Our quality of life is not quite what it was.
No.
Our quality of life is different. There are too many nuisance crimes. There are too many shadows in which danger lurks. There's too much uncertainty about the public being out in public. There's too much uncertainty about what could happen. And these are policies brought about by people like you, Walz. It's a pathetic mess. This state is a bleep hole.
And Joe, when people bring up the fact that certain parts of the city are unsafe at certain times of the day, how are they met by the leadership of both Minneapolis and the state? They're laughed at and chided and made fun of and told the city is perfectly safe. They're completely disregarded.
Oh, it's a quality of life issue. Of course, the city is the city is statistically safe. I mean, your odds are that you can go to a Twins game and survive. It's not that bad. But the quality of life has been affected by the planting of doubt. Too many people who have been given second, third, fourth, and fifth chances, and they're out on the street. I can't wait to learn about this guy. It might be that this is his first brush with the law. I have no idea. We don't know his name.
We don't know that.
And we don't have his past. We don't know.
Right.
I got to share